Welcome back, everyone. After a 2 week hiatus, we are back and nothing's changed. We're still two dudes talking 80s. I'm John, that's my partner in crime, Lewis.
Hello.
And very ominous, lighting. It's a good thing you're so white. Like, I can see you perfectly, even in the darkness.
I need a black light in here. That'll really make my whiteness sort of pop even more.
I think so. So we took a couple weeks off, but with good reason. I went and visited you because there was an event happening, and then you came and visited me because there was an event happening. So why don't you tell about what kind of transpired when I went to visit you out there in the Bay Area?
So the main thing that we did, the reason that sort of brought you out here was that they had the Bay Area Cruise Night that they call it, and it had thousands of cars there. It was just ridiculous, but it was awesome. John and I went and drove up and down the El Camino like we used to when we were young lads, and it was cool. It was fun.
And the incredible thing about it, and I know I mentioned it to you, and I think I put it in a comment on your Facebook page, is all these people probably acquired these beautiful, beautiful cars, and there were tons of them later on in life. You and I, through you, were cruising in the same car that we cruised in the mid to late 80s. And that was your Monte Carlo, and which was kind of incredible. I don't think there are probably a lot of people out there can say, yeah, this is my car back in the day. It's the same car. And it still looks great. It's in incredible shape. And kudos to you in regards to that.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. And yeah, it was neat. It was neat. It really, there were moments that it really took me back, man. I had my jean jacket just like I used to wear when I was in the 80s, and there's a few moments there that really sort of took me back. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
I was really happy to be able to share that with you.
It was a lot of fun. It did bring back memories. I haven't participated, obviously, because I live in Los Angeles now, but it was really nice to go back and participate. We did even kept the music the same. We had Metallica, White Lion, Dio, so we listened to the same stuff that we would have listened to in the mid to late 80s, which is pretty much what we listened to anyway. So nothing really changed. That was good. And then you came out here. The main reason was nothing 80s related, but we did go and see Mr. Burt Kreischer, the Machine. The good times. We got to tour the Warner Brothers studios, which sadly didn't have a lot of 80s things that we got to see. I don't remember. I don't remember anything that was very 80s or iconic 80s. Oops.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you said iconic. I actually brought some alcohol with me.
Don't let it go to waste, my brother.
But you're right. I don't remember us seeing really very much that was 80s. Thinking
Yeah,
about that.
a little disappointing, but I mean, it was still very cool.
Mm.
But one of the things we did with combining a drinking night was we watched a lot of bad 80s movies. And I was able to introduce Lewis to, I mentioned it when we did our horrible 80s sequels, a sequel that really wasn't, and that was The Executioner 2. And I finally got to share that with Lewis. And Lou, your thoughts on The Executioner 2?
If you go into it knowing that you're going to see a horrible movie and that you're just going to sort of pick it apart and watch it for the comedic aspect of it, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, have a drink next to you, grab some 80s folks and watch it again with that mindset. It's hilarious.
It's really, really bad. And I hope somebody watches it. Please, if you watch it, it's for free. It's on Tubi. Put in the comments that you watched it because one of the actresses is a blonde girl, very attractive girl, but it's got to be probably the worst acting performance I've ever seen in my life. Like she every scene she's doing this weird laughter thing, and it's you got to see it. Please, please, somebody watch it. But inspired us to do this episode, which is a movie. I don't. It's not a bad movie. I actually really enjoy it. One of those kind of teetering on it's so bad it's good, but it's fun and we're talking about the '86 classic Chopping Mall. Okay, because I doubt very many of you have seen a movie about killer robots that took place in a mall. This is the best one. This is far and away the best one. So this movie, I was doing a little bit of research on this, and I will be honest, I wasn't introduced to this movie until recently, um, but I enjoy it. I actually went. It might have even been the first time I saw it was a while back at the New Beverly Cinema. They had the lead actress Kelly Maroney was there, and they played a double feature of her movies from the '80s, which was Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet. And I love Night of the Comet too. That's another really great one. We gotta show that to you so we can talk about it in the future. But that might have even been when I got introduced to Chopping Mall. I'm not quite sure. But the movie was originally released in 1986, around March of 1986, as Killbots. And I guess what happened is they released this movie, didn't do anything, and they thought that people were mistaking it like Killbots. They're thinking it was like a Transformers type movie, like a kiddie type movie, as
Oh,
opposed to an R-rated horror movie, whatever you want to call it. So they took it out of theaters. I guess they chopped about 15 minutes off the original run, renamed it Chopping Mall, and a classic was born. So, Lou, gotta hear, without going too far into it because there's a lot of stuff we cover. What was your initial thoughts on Chopping Mall?
well, before we go to that, do you know what else Kelly Maroney was in?
Damn, I don't.
She was very briefly in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh yeah, she was one of the cheerleaders.
She was.
She was one of the cheerleaders where they threw the paper airplane at her and she says, it's not easy to get up here and do that. But yeah, Kelly Moore, she was actually there for at the New Bev when they did the double feature. She was there with a couple of the actors and people that worked on both films. So she got up and talked about both of them. So it was kind of cool. I didn't want to. Everyone was rushing her to try and get a photo and everything. I'm like, I'm gonna leave her alone. But it was cool that she showed up for her double feature.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But going back to your original question, my thoughts on it, again, sort of hokey. You gotta sort of remember when, it was created in the decade of anything goes. And if you go into it with that mentality, it's actually pretty entertaining. It's got a little more production value than Executioner 2, and don't look for Executioner 1 because it doesn't exist. But yeah, again, if you sort of go into it with that mindset, it's actually entertaining. I would definitely watch it again.
So this came from the Roger Corman Movie Factory. I forgot the name of the actual studio that released it, but shockingly, they did this movie. Well, maybe not shockingly. It depends upon how you look at. But the movie only cost $800,000 to make, which is kind of crazy, even for back then. That was a very, very low budget movie. And even more incredible when you figure out that they shot the entire movie at an actual mall, the Sherman Oaks Galleria. Um,
Iconic.
very, very iconic. I opened up a new bottle today. It's pretty darn good.
Awesome.
So what is it? I don't even know. Oh well. But when I retired, a lot of my friends like bought me whiskey bottles, and I'm like, does everyone think I'm an alcoholic? So I got a lot of whiskey to go through. But slowly getting through it. But anyway, getting back to Chopping Mall. So the entire movie was essentially recorded at the Sherman Oaks Galleria. Sherman Oaks Galleria is very famous for also Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Commando. So with the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic, and I do say classic. Unfortunately, when they had the Northridge earthquake, it was essentially destroyed. It has been rebuilt and brought back to life, but it does not resemble what it looked like back then, and it's kind of a shame. So part of the joy of this movie is seeing, that 80s mall experience, right? Like the so for those that haven't seen the movie, I'll give a kind of a brief description of it, unless you want to take this.
Nope, go for it. You're on a
All
roll.
right. So a company decides that they are going to make these robots to essentially be acting as security for the mall. But it was only supposed to take place after hours. So they have these robots, which they show a video or actually a movie. It's like 16 millimeter, showing them dealing with a criminal after hours that had broken into the mall, subduing that person with darts, and then being able to call out to the cops to respond. Great in theory, probably something we're gonna see sooner than later, right? RoboCop is coming, and so of course, as things happen, things go wrong, and they kind of insinuate that this lightning strike caused some sort of problem with the program, and now these bots that were trained to, subdue are now killers, and they get released into the mall. There's what was it, four couples um, that decided to party in a furniture store inside the mall. Why, I don't know. And of course, being 80s, or three of the couples are having sex, and one is a cute couple, Ferdy and what was it, her name?
Allison.
Allison. Allison were, watching a Roger Corman movie and just getting to know one another. Like, I don't want to buy that furniture after all that happened. And they discover that these robots that were supposed to be, checking the mall are now homicidal maniacs or homicidal robots, and they're trying to kill them. So that's the plot essentially, but I got to tell you, it was such a cool thing to watch. When the beginning of the movie, when they show like kind of like that kid with the ice cream, which I still wonder about that scene. Like, what was the purpose of that? Do you remember that?
I'm trying to know. I don't remember the kid with the
There's
ice
a
cream.
young kid in an elevator with an ice cream, and you're like, okay, why is this young
Oh,
kid by
yeah.
himself? All these people rush in, and then the ice cream's all over him. And I'm still wondering where his
Yes.
parents were. And then the lady that's trying to navigate the food court with all the stuff, and then she goes to put her tray down, and the table doesn't isn't there, and so everything finally drops anyway. But
Right, right.
even walking through the mall, and you see some of these stores that from back in the day, like I just wrote some of them down. Like they show Radio Shack, they show
Yes.
Licorice Pizza, which Licorice Pizza was very big in LA, and they actually do have a Licorice Pizza again now. There is a store on Ventura Boulevard in Studio City. I found out that the guy actually, through a court case, was able to get the rights to that name. Whether he had, anything to do with it before, I don't know. But yeah, there's a Licorice Pizza in Studio City, which is cool. And for the fanatics, they had Tom McCann and Florsheim. I remember I was so pissed. I was like, please, please be a chess king. Please be a chess king. And there was a House of Almonds. I remember seeing that. And
Right.
something like Knott's Berry Farm Holiday or something, which I don't know what that was about back in the 80s inside the mall, but no chess king, so I was kind of disappointed. And what was it, an MGA store, which I don't remember what those were. Do you remember those?
I don't.
So watch them being chased by killer robots and enjoy the stores, enjoy the mall experience. Of course, you never enjoyed the mall experience being chased by killer robots, but in this movie you do. So let me ask you: there's I think 10 deaths in this movie. Do you have a favorite? And I want to see if it matches with mine.
I don't have a favorite, but this dovetails perfectly with what I wanted to bring up next. It's an interesting little tidbit. So the first guy that I remember dying was the tech that was in the computer room, right? So he's sitting there, he's got the three robots behind him, and every once in a while he hears something, he looks back and they're not doing anything. And as soon as he turns forward to look at his monitors again, the robots start to sort of come to life and whatever. And one actually shoots something that goes through his throat. That's what I remember. The actor that played the tech was in a movie that you like a lot called Used Cars. And the actor's name was Garrett Graham. He was, I guess, the crazy brother that was blowing stuff up in the competitor's used car lot. I tripped out when I found that. It was really, really cool.
Wow, good job, Lou. Yeah, I remember him very well. He was a superstitious guy, right? Like
Right,
he wouldn't drive a red car.
right, 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 right.
He wouldn't last in this house. But yeah, I remember him and loved used cars. So that's your most memorable kill?
The first one, it's hard to pick just one, but yeah, because that was the first one, it sort of set the tone for how gory the movie might be. I'll go with that one.
It was hard for me to figure this out because the character of Mike, that that dude's chewing gum like constantly, and it was driving me nuts, and I was rooting for him to die. So that was kind of what I liked because it's like, oh my god, and it wasn't like subtle chewing gum. I don't know if that was his character's tick or what. I don't know, but it drove me nuts. I'm like, dude, enough with this. So kill him soon. Come on, robot. I will pay extra for this. I'll give you, I don't know, what would you give a robot? An extra oil change? I don't know. But I kind of, and again, right, with this ludicrous, as ludicrous as this movie could be, I think my favorite was when the poor blonde gets essentially her head blown off by the robot shooting like a laser, which is really interesting, right? Because other people get hit with lasers, like Kelly Maroney's character, and she has, a little thing on her arm. This girl gets hit in the face and it blows her head off. So, did they have the ability to change their the amount of laser that they shot out? I don't know, but it's things that make you go, hmm.
She was the same one, I think, I'm not 100% sure, that asked the girls to turn back when they were trying to escape through the air ducting, right?
Yes, yes, that was.
Okay.
Was it?
I can't remember which one
No,
it
no.
was.
She was the one that was hooked up with the guy that chewed the gum.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah, one of the guys that worked at the furniture store.
Okay, so it must have been Carrie Emerson that was the one that asked folks to turn back, and most of them
Yeah,
died because of it. For
the
her,
one whose
because of
death
her.
I like, you'll remember this. Obvious fake boobs. Now is it all coming back to you? Or
Maybe a
you gotta
little,
plead the
maybe a
fifth?
little,
Huh?
maybe a little, maybe a little.
Maybe a little. Okay. So yeah, that was my favorite. It was iconic.
Oh man.
So I gotta say, this has got to be one of the best lines ever in a movie, and I wrote it down so I didn't miss a word. And this is character Linda. She was the one that fixed the car, the only brunette in the cast, and they escaped from the robots, almost got killed, and she's very upset, and they're all kind of arguing, as you would be if you were almost killed. And she says, "It's not you, Ferdy. I guess I'm just not used to being chased around a mall in the middle of the night by killer robots." That's awesome. That's writing at its finest. That's poetry, Lewis.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I don't remember her saying that. It's really cool that you keyed in onto that.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I actually watched it a couple times today to pick up on some stuff, and it's a scene where like I said, I think they're down to four at that point, and they escape, and so that's when they're it looks like they're in like some sort of like Macy's type place, and that's the comment that's actually made. So
Interesting, interesting.
yeah. Um, so there was actually this movie actually did well enough that for a while they were actually discussing a Chopping Mall too. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, it never got made, even though it was in discussion. What do you think about a Chopping Mall too?
I think for the time it would have been great. It had all the elements of the 80s, right? I mean, you had the tech, you had the robots, you had teenagers having sex, you had the sort of the, I guess what would have been considered the high tech uh effects, right? The movie effects and stuff with the lasers and the electrocutions and all that stuff. And I'm doing a lot of stuff with my hands here, and I don't know why.
Not on
Uh,
a budget of 800,000, I'll tell you that much.
So it was perfect for the time, right? So I think that it would have been really cool to have a second one, see what they did with it.
I thought so too. It's like I was trying to think where you could go with it, right? Like, how you would bring this back in. And you'd have to take it to a different I don't know. It'd be interesting, right? Like we're gonna allow this to happen again, but no, they're better this time. But
Exactly.
I don't know. They could have, but again, just the whole thing with the mall. I think that element, and the fact that they were allowed to shoot there at the Sherman Oaks Galleria. I think they were originally going to shoot at like the Beverly Center. It was outside their range for funds. So they said they still use some of the exterior from the Beverly Center for shots. And I was wondering, there's that scene where, and if anyone knows this, please let me know because I can't figure it out. But there's one outside scene, and it looks like the escalator going down, but it has like neon on it. And I was like, wow, I was wondering if that was a Sherman Oaks Galleria or if that was the Beverly Center. And I asked my wife, and she's like, yeah, we didn't really go that much to the Sherman Oaks Galleria. I'm like, thanks. That would have, you could have been so helpful on this. But so I don't know. So if anyone knows about that, please, please, please let me know in regards to that. It's something I'm really curious about. But yeah, apparently they were gonna film it, and like I said, at the Sherman Oaks Galleria, the owner of the Sherman Oaks Galleria was really cool and very, just like, hey, 9 a.m. we open up. Everything's got to be back to normal. It can't have any, you can't do any damage here and everything else. But I guess the head of security for the Sherman Oaks Galleria caused all sorts of problems for him. So kind of an interesting dynamic over there for the
Uh,
filming.
do you know what kind of problems that he caused?
It just said that it just said that he was, kind of a pain in the ass, basically, for lack of a better term. But it's interesting that the owners were fine. Like, I guess they did everything that they were supposed to, so they didn't have an issue with it.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah. So, um, trying to think. So we talked about the favorite kill, Kelly Maroney. Um, wow, we went through that kind of quick, didn't we, Lou?
We did. I've got something else I can add though. Uh, there was a very small scene where this kid was trying to shoplift something, and I don't know if you remember it or not. It's very small, very quick, but he's got like a sort of dress shirt on, and he's got an obviously big box stuffed inside it, so you could totally see the outline of it.
It looked like a
And
bunch of records.
it did. It looked like it could have been that.
Sorry.
And I think that you had said that that kid looks familiar. And I think I know why he looks familiar. He later on, I guess, went into the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. He played Joey Cruzel, and the actor's name is Rodney Eastman, and he was on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warrior, and I think one of the other ones. I think it was the Nightmare on Elm Street 4 as well.
The Dream Master, I think that one was.
Yeah, Dream Master. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, well, look at Lou bringing the facts, dropping the knowledge. I like it.
And yeah, I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole trying to sort of figure out, what else these people have done. And the co-writer, Jim, and I think I dropped off the last letter of his name here, but I think it's Wynorski. He did. I guess he really likes to do parodies, and he did one on the Blair Witch Project called the Bear Wench Project, and the Witches of Eastwick called the Witches of Breastwick. If either of those took place in the 80s, I think we've got more material here.
Something tells me they don't because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the 2000s for the Blair Witch. No, he actually was also the director. I know the guy you're talking about, and it was kind of funny because one of the reasons Kelly Maroney was hired was the guy wanted to date her. I told him that doesn't exactly fly in this day and age, but okay, in the 80s, I guess. So they had another actress. I forgot her name, but she was hired initially. I
right.
don't know if he had anything to do with it or not, but she said, she really wasn't into like a lot of the scenes in the movie, and they're like, okay, you know what? He just used that as an excuse to fire her and say, okay, she doesn't want to do this kind of stuff, and we'll get rid of her and bring Kelly in, which is interesting because Kelly Maroney never had never did a nude scene in this movie. So I don't
Right.
know what he felt that she was objecting to, that the other actresses appeared naked. I don't know. But I was like, wow, how times have changed. Could you imagine saying that in this day and age now? Like, hey, I hired this girl because I thought maybe I'd want to date her. Ooh, boy.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly too well there. I read the same thing and I thought the exact same thing. I was like thinking back, it's like, no, she never appeared nude in the movie. There's nothing there. So I'm not sure what the other actress was objecting to. But yeah, it sounded like he was just really ready to just go, yep, I'm cutting you loose because I want to try and date this chick. So bring her on in.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. And, oh, you mentioned you know, the thing with the Nightmare on Elm Street. The I didn't realize Tony O'Dell, the actor who played Ferdy, was also in one of my favorite series, The Karate Kid.
Really?
Yeah, he was one of the Cobra Kai. He played Jimmy, which is like you blink and you miss Jimmy. He didn't have any cool lines like, get him a body bag or anything like that, or he didn't have that glorious hair like Ron Thomas did back in the day. By the way, that sucks. Ron Thomas is now bald. Like he had the most beautiful feathered hair back in the 80s. I feel like a lot of these people that had this amazing feathered hair in the 80s are all bald now. And I wanted that gorgeous feathered hair. I didn't have it, but still holding on to this. So
Attaboy. No, you had nice hair, man. We both did. But I actually ran across this pin of yours that was in my backpack of you when you were in, I guess, basketball in Burrell, and I still don't know how that appeared. I remember that we talked about this before, but I don't know how the hell that ended up here. But I was looking at it's like, yeah, you had some really nice hair, man.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy I still have it. That's all I know.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
blessed. Me,
But
maybe not so much.
one of the things we didn't mention earlier, and we're gonna go back off topic to our time, when we were visiting, is you took me to see the English Beat
That's right. That's right.
at
The
a
one
very
original member.
small venue. Dave
What's that?
Wakeling in slippers.
Dave Wakeling in slippers. That was hilarious, man. Watch him sitting there perform, and then it's like I look down at his feet. It's like, whoa, there's like lining inside of his shoes. Oh, they're slippers.
Yeah, I guess when you've been doing it that long, you can get away with it. And I got to mention that my 80s experience concert other than the English Beat recently. Last night, I actually went and saw Pink, which is an 80s, but her opener, which is just mind blowing to me, was Pat Benatar.
So awesome.
Yeah. What, you know, we got there really early. You know me, I like to get to places early because I hate rushing, and we got there really early, got some food, got some drinks, had a really great time. But when we got there, we got to, similar to when you and I went to see Paul McCartney, except this time we're actually inside the venue. Pat Benatar was up there sound checking. And
Nice.
so we got to hear her perform a little bit of "We Belong," and that was really neat to hear her singing that, in a sound check. But what a Pat Benatar always delivers. Still shocked she doesn't play "Hit Me with Your Best Shot." There was some reason she said she's no longer playing it, like due to gun violence or something, which really is dumb. Let's be honest, because that song has as much to do with gun violence as they used to say "Hell is for Children" was satanic.
Oh, geez.
Like, back in the PMRC days, they point out "Hell is for Children." But again, great show. Pink, I know it's not 80s, but what an amazing performer. Third time I've seen her. And it was pretty special because she came out and she started singing "You Ought to Know" by Alanis Morissette. Started doing the first, set of verses, and Alanis Morissette came out and helped finish the song. So they did a really
Unbelievable.
cool duet, and then later on, they performed "Heartbreaker" by Pat Benatar, and Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo actually came out and helped them perform that as well. So hearing Pink and Pat Benatar sing together was really cool. And if you doubt Pink's vocal ability, go to YouTube. She performs with now they're Steel Panther, but back when they were, I think, Metal Shop or Metal School. She goes on stage and she performs Skid Row's 18 in Life. And you can tell it, the chick's got a rock and roll heart. So good for her. Really cool show.
Awesome, man. That sounds like it must have been amazing. And I could just picture Pink and Alanis Morissette and Pink and Pat Benatar doing duets. They must have complemented each other just super, super well.
Yeah, it was definitely a highlight because you're like, wow, this is interesting. And I think it's 80s, but Sade didn't come out, but Pink did a cover of "Ordinary Lover," which I thought was really bizarre, but really well done too. So,
Nice.
isn't that 80s, Sade?
She is 80s. I don't
Huh?
remember if that song itself was 80s, but probably.
All right. Well, see, and I don't feel so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, by the way, great shirt.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
feel like I want to listen to Def. Yeah, I want to hear Def Leppard. And what was it? Rock of Ages, right? When they
Yeah.
the video, yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. Especially the white arms that really complement the whiteness of the shirt.
Yes, it's almost like it's an extension of the shirt. You can't tell where the shirt ends and the arm starts. Sort of
I
cool.
know. I've seen you in shorts with white socks. I know how that goes.
Oh
We haven't
man.
missed a beat. See, we haven't missed a beat.
Right back to where we were.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about it. I think we've chopped up Chopping Mall. Look what I did there. Whoa. Pretty well. I know. So hopefully the new Bev will do another double feature. We'll get you out here for it. So you can see Chopping Mall the way it should be seen in a theater with an audience having the time of their lives.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Maybe someday they'll play The Executioner too, and you have to come out for that. Oh, and if they get that blonde girl who is the actress in it, oh yeah. Please, 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 somebody watch that. Put it in the comments that you watched. It's for free. It's on Tubi. Just look up Executioner 2 and tell me about the blonde actress. You'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. Please, somebody do this. I beg you. All right. Lewis will send you like autographed underwear or something if you do this. All right. I promise you that. Or something like that. Maybe not underwear. I'd be kind
Ant,
of.
I think this is for you, buddy. I think this is for you, Ant. I think you've got your calling right here, man.
Yeah, will it be freshly used? Are you gonna send it out like, worn underwear?
I'll leave that to the option of the winner of the prize.
What a prize it is. All right, Lou, you got anything you want to say before we call this?
No, I'm gonna sort of drop off of this, saying what the robot said after each one of their killings. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
No,
Perfect.
this is
Perfect.
this is fun. This is really fun.
Yeah, in 2 weeks off, we're recharged, and we watched a lot of really bad '80s movies, so we're good for a while. Ooh, it's a shame I already did the Executioner too. We could talk about that one for hours. But anyway, as always, guys, we really appreciate you watching this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Lewis, brother, take us out.
Peace out.
What the hell is that?
It's empty. That's what the hell that is.
Okay, let's try this again because you're not doing the Dr. Spock thing and ending on that note. Lewis, take
I
us
think that
out.
was pretty cool, actually, man. Sort of a
Lewis,
variation
take
on
us
the
out.
peace out.
Thank you, guys.